This is Leonard again, coming from West Palm Beach, Florida. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It might be close to New Year before I get this video published, but today we're out here doing again at Howard Park, West Palm, I'll be doing some 50 and 80 meter sprint work, and then showing plyometric work. So I've done some dynamic stretches, and I'm now going to illustrate some stride outs, which I haven't done in any of the other workouts, just to give you an idea, because again it's just a little bit more than a little faster than a jog, but it's not it's kind of just warming up your body for an all-out for the workout to come. And again, like I said, I preceded this with some dynamic stretches. Like say, like for hamstrings, might be something like this, both legs for about 20 reps. Doing body weight squats, kind of warming up your calves a little bit, rotation of your calf muscles, arm swings, that sort of thing. And then, like I said, with the stride, you're just trying to get your major muscle groups just kind of warm, because again, sprinting is very intense, and you're trying to minimize the risk of injury. Okay, so just showed you the first one. I'm going to do several more stride outs, and then, like I said, then we'll get into the workout. But like I said, it's just kind of like a little bit faster than a jog, but well short of an all-out sprint. Again, the stride outs is, they should not be overly fatiguing you. So like I said, it's just enough intensity to kind of, like I said, just sort of warm up all your major muscle groups that are involved in sprinting, but you're not trying to detract from the main workout here. So now, a lot of times I'll do a set of A skips, kind of at the tail end of my warm-up. Since I'm going to illustrate skips later in the workout, I'm going to do one extra stride out instead of the A skips. One other thing I want to mention on the stride outs, again, your first stride out could actually be closer to a jog, but then as you do several of them, certainly as you get to your last stride out before your actual workout, you should be increasing the intensity, so there's not like a stark contrast between your stride out and your first sprint. I mean, obviously there will be a difference, but the idea is you're trying to get kind of progressive, gradual, I mean, not so gradual, but anyway, progressive increase in intensity as you're getting your body more warmed up and ready for the more intense exercise. So I'm going to change into the Antipus Muscle Runner shoes, and we'll be ready for the workout. So, okay, like I said, we're going to start off with 80s, and then move to 50s. So. Okay, first one was a 12.6, pretty good for our first run. Sometimes you surprise yourself. So I think I mentioned this in a prior workout. Sometimes you accidentally hit the stopwatch in the middle, or in this case, actually, like at the very end, I kind of like tapped it, but then I wasn't like 100% sure, so I like tapped it again. But yeah, the first one actually took, so then you don't get a legit time. So that is the downside of a manual stopwatch that you're holding while you're running. I'd say most of the time you can it'll work fine, but like I said, timing gates are a much more expensive solution. Again, we're just running at a park rather than on a track, in official distance. So just have to go with this. Okay, so I'm gonna go on to my third one now. Okay, that was a 12-4. We can theorize later why we're doing better today, but okay, that was a 12-03. Whew, I'm like, what did I do? So, I mean, when the weather's warmer, we'll run a little bit faster than certainly when it's cold, or if you're running into a headwind. If you have a tailwind, you're going to run faster. Today's not really any wind. Temperatures are, it's nice, but it's not like warm. It's just nice, and I'm still wearing pants here. Out here a little bit later, I've noticed, you know, if you're coming out late, like kind of later morning or mid-morning instead of early morning, but I'm not that late. I mean, just like, you know, 20 minutes or so, so not a big deal. Only other thing, it might be prepping for this this video. Did some pogo hops and some okay, so first one was a 7-2. Again, I call them 50s. They're actually closer to about 48 meters. But good enough for a workout. I mean, like I said, that tree's not moving, and the start of the soccer field's not moving either, so it's so much weight. So I did the first one with a walk-in start. I need to do something with 3-point stance, so I think I'm still going to do this one with the walk-in start, and then we'll move through the 3-point stance going forward. So still need a little more rest before I go to. Okay, it was a 7-2-5. Gonna do one. I think we'll do one more with the walk-in, and then we'll finish up with the 3-point. Tempted to say no comment on that last one, but I think the point maybe here is that you need to be fully rested before you do another, like your next sprint. Otherwise, you're just doing a conditioning workout. So, you know, I may be rushing sometimes because I got like a 1 minute time frame on the videos, but yeah, you need to be fully rested as you're starting. So I didn't get a good start there. Didn't get set really very well, and the start is pretty critical to a short distance run. So I'm going to try to do a better job on this one, rest a little bit more before I start, because this is the last one. See how it compares to the walk-in starts. Hopefully at least be back in the ballpark. But yeah, that. Okay, so the last one was a 7-2-2. Now we're going to move on to some plyometric work. This is something that a lot of sprinters will implement into their training programs. Now, as master sprinters, you need to be a lot more cautious about plyometric work. You know, if you're over 40, haven't done, you know, that sort of training in a long time, just your body just doesn't, or at least my body doesn't like all that jumping as much. So you have to kind of do softer plyometrics. You know, forget about single leg bounds, forget about depth drops, some of the more aggressive type of plyometrics. But we are going to do pogo hops, jump squats, and some skipping. And I'll illustrate those shortly after the break. So, okay, so I'm going to illustrate pogo hops here. You know, basically, you just going to stand 2-footed like this, and then just kind of do and you can do them softer or more, a little more aggressively. So again, I'm going to illustrate pogo hops again. I'm going to have two feet here together. You can kind of go soft, just like that, or a little more aggressively, or soft, or aggressive. Okay, next we're going to illustrate jump squats. So it's actually kind of two variations that I've seen. Your first one is to kind of get down into a squat stance, kind of like this, and then kind of jump like that. So squat, maybe a little bit wider. I'll fall over. And I guess these Antibus muscle runners aren't the best because they're more for sprinting and not for squatting. But that's one. And then I'll show you in a sec the other one. Okay, I'm going to try to illustrate the softer version of the jump squats again. Again, these shoes are designed for sprinting, not for jumping. So that's kind of the challenge I've got here. Okay, so again, down into a squat position. And like that. Yeah, the other variation I've seen of jump squats is pretty much starting with hands more to your sides and then like that, kind of lifting up. And like reach, touch the sky sort of thing. You're not really necessarily going into a full squat, maybe more of a kind of a quarter squat. Now, one thing I do want to emphasize again on the plyometric work, again, this is not something you should be doing your first month if you're just trying to get into masters track or masters sprinting. Again, if you're just starting off, your first month really should be doing kind of like I said, 75% efforts just to get your body used to doing something more intense than a jog. And then after a month, maybe 6-8 weeks, kind of move to like 85% or something like that. After a couple months, hopefully 10 weeks, you should be ready. Kind of I'll let you be the judge of if you're ready or not. But yeah, definitely first couple weeks you shouldn't be doing max intensity efforts. And then like I said, on the plyometric work, that should wait probably until at least a few months into training, because it is more intense on your Achilles and different tendons. Okay, so now we're going to go into some skips. I'll show the A skip first, and then do kind of a skip with height and a skip with length. So again, not trying to show the most aggressive types of plyometrics, just trying to show some that are a little softer. I mean, even with these, you still have to be careful. Not for someone who's just starting out a training program, but after a few months, 3-4 months, something like that, I think you could consider doing, like I said, pogo hops, that sort of thing, jump squats. The skips for distance and height are maybe a little more challenging to do. And again, the reason why I talk about not going too aggressive on plyometrics is again because it is no fun being injured. I've gone through it on 2 occasions, once in late 2013, another one mid-21. First time was just being reckless, just didn't realize how delicate the body can be if you don't let it rest between training sessions and you're doing too much, like I said, intense training without rest between workouts. So like I said, that's why we're talking about softer plyometric work. I'm only doing 2 sprint sessions a week, only doing 1 lower body weight session a week, so like 4 total sessions a week. you could debate whether or not that's not enough, but at least I get rest days to recover from sessions. So because you do need rest. Okay, so I've given you a few basic plyos. Like I said, you got your pogo hops, your jump squats, and then just various forms of skipping, which are softer forms of plyometrics versus, say, the more aggressive ones that the younger athletes can do. So let the younger athletes do the single leg bounds and the depth drops and the double, long jumps, that sort of thing. It's just we're trying to, if you're trying to compete in master's track, you want to have some ability, but not, like I said, there's always kind of weighing that risk versus reward, because it's not worth it getting injured. Believe me, it's no fun going months without being able to train. So that's what we're trying to prevent. Till next workout.